Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the busters, but everybody else in between. The Monday Night Meltdown has begun. Let's do this thing President's Day style. We've got a couple of college basketball games going on. We had a full slate of hockey across the National Hockey League today. A wild day on the ice. The National Basketball Association, the fallout continues from the NBA All-Star game that saw them take like 168 three-point shots and saw the East roll the West in the highest scoring All-Star game of all time. Let's start off there, in which I'm not nearly as upset as others about the sanctity of the NBA All-Star game. I'm just upset at myself for not hammering the over. I did hammer the over, but I also hammered the West. I could have just crushed it. We all could have just crushed it. It reminds me of the Pro Bowl before they stopped it, in which it was just out of control, right? Like the Pro Bowl, they would set the totals at like 63, 65 and stuff like that. And we were getting into the 90s, if not the hundreds. And I was enjoying it. Like I would bet more on the Pro Bowl than I did the Super Bowl. They'd have the Pro Bowl the week before the Super Bowl. I was betting like a lot on the Pro Bowls because I was like, man, they're going to score like 90 points in this game. And they were. Except the NFL got upset because one year they took it too far and they were running reverses and like crazy trick plays. And I didn't have a problem with it. The players want to have fun. Fine. I get that people want to see somewhat of a competition, but it's hard. It's just one of those things. It is what it is. There's no real solution to it. We're not going to cancel the All-Star game. The NBA All-Star weekend generates tons of revenue, all right? And the ratings were generally, like, for the entire weekend, they do get good numbers, although this game turned people off. Shout out to everyone joining us on SiriusXM Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Iowa State and Houston are in action, if you want to call it action. College basketball is terrible, man. It's just bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you watch these games, it's just brick central, brick city. I get it. Teams are playing defense, but, they can't shoot. like, how many good college basketball teams are there? Like 4, 5, like a handful? Like, very, very few. I wonder about Houston, too. Houston are good. We'll get into it tonight. Houston are good, but I don't know if they're good enough offensively. They're going to get, they get these games where they don't score enough. They can't shoot. They can't score. Iowa State is lingering right now, despite the fact that they've tossed enough bricks to build a new basketball arena. It's 28-23 right now, late in the first half. Texas are in action against Kansas State. We got a pretty close one going on here, too. We got a 5-point game at the half. This game is seriously trending to the under. I thought it would be higher scoring. 27-22 at the half for the Longhorns. They're laying 9.5 right now at the half. The in-game number, halftime number is 121.5 in this game. The total in the Houston-Iowa State game is 120.5 right now as we were into the final seconds going into the locker rooms here right now. We got a 5-point game. The Houston Cougars are up, so sort of right in the middle, both these games, right? The point spread was like 8.5. Texas, I thought Texas were laying too many points, but I also thought they were going to win the game. I also thought that Houston were kind of laying too many points, but I thought Houston were going to win the game. I thought both these games would be a little bit higher scoring than they are right now. The Houston game could potentially still go over the number. The Texas game won't unless it goes to overtime. So we're going into the break here. 28-23 for the Houston Cougars. They're laying 9.5, up 5, and the total is 120.5. It closed. I got it at like 131 or something like that earlier in the day, 130.5, whatever it was. It ended up closing at like 132.5, 133. It could still get there if there's some early points in the second half. And we get some fouls and stuff. It's a pretty physical game. They don't really call a ton of fouls. Like, you've got to really get murdered in this conference for them to call a foul in the Big 12. So we've got, it's a physical basketball game. We'll keep our eye on this. I'm on a moneyline parlay on the way out here tonight. Not a ton of action going on. We've got Houston, we've got Texas, and we've got College of Charleston. But I thought the William and Mary could cover the number at 17.5 or 16.5, 17. They're down right now by 8 with 3 minutes left. Charleston is up 55-47, so we might be able to hit both sides of this game. There's no NHL hockey left tonight, but we'll take a look at the full slate of action that's going on Tuesday. We'll get you caught up to date. Last week, we went over the division odds and the futures and stuff. Well, we'll start to check in on a weekly basis now. I want to get an update and look at the updated numbers. The Vancouver Canucks have now lost 2 hockey games in a row. They lost on Saturday night to the Winnipeg Jets, and they somehow lost today despite scoring 7 goals. And in fact, the Vancouver Canucks are only the 88th team in NHL history. All right, it only happened 87 times before today in NHL history that a team scored 7 goals in a game and lost. So welcome to the club, Vancouver. The Minnesota Wild beat the Vancouver Canucks today 10-7. There were 9 goals in the third period. 3 different players scored hat tricks. 3 different players. 2 on the Wild, 1 on the Canucks. 3 different players. Who was it? It was Eriksson, JT Miller, and another. So it was a Swedish festival. Swedish festival today. First game is the first NHL game where both teams scored 7+ goals on fewer than 30 shots on goal since 1988. That was another thing too. Like they kept, like Vancouver kept scoring despite they were getting dominated early. It's the first NHL game to feature 3 players with a hat trick since November the 8th, 1992, when Jari Kurri, Luc Robitaille, and Mike Donnelly all scored in an 11-4 Kings win over the Sharks. So like I said, a lot of history was made today. So JT Miller got the hat trick, but so what? Wild stuff. The overs were cashing. NHL hockey. Very entertaining today. And we'll get into this. Joe Madden's going to step up and join us. We got George Kurtz, and we got Cam Stewart. We got Mo Khan at the back end, but we got a lot of hockey. Yeah, a lot of people have bet on hockey on the show tonight. And like the Calgary Flames were down by multiple goals. It's the 12th time this year that the Calgary Flames have won a game when they were trailing by 2 or more. Think about like that from an odds perspective. Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting where you could pull the trigger on both teams. We'll get you the updated numbers. But remember last year I talked about it a lot in which like 45% of teams that won an NHL game were trailing at some point in the game, and it was like nearly 30% of the wins in the NHL were teams that were trailing by 2 or more at some point in the game. The dreaded 2-goal lead, man, in the NHL is real. This is Sports Rage. Bring it.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring
the
back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game to take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game? His name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Could go down one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He is a freak of nature. He is Halley's Comet. He is the unicorn. He is the alien. He is whatever you want to call him. There's been nothing like him. And his play's been fantastic. And it's the reason why Pops looks so damn young now is because of the play of Victor Wembanyama. Fantastic performance by Wemby.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Monday Night Meltdown. SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. Let's do this thing. We got a full house on the program tonight. It's a college basketball night tonight. Doubleheader in the Big 12. Both very low-scoring basketball games. Texas is now leading 29-24. The second half has started. They're a couple of minutes in. So Texas are up 5 right now. They're laying 9.5. The in-game total is 115.5. It closed at 140. And Houston and Iowa State are at the half. It's 28-23 for the Houston Cougars. This is the one that can still get there as far as the total is concerned. The in-game total here is 122.5. All it'll take is a couple of early shots in the second half. This game, things opened up after the first 12 minutes. It took a little while. Like, Iowa State had like 4 points, like 8 minutes into the game, 10 minutes into the game. They were stuck at 4. They started to hit a couple of threes near the end of the half. Houston get to the free throw line a lot. It's a very physical game. I would expect both teams to end up in a bonus pretty quickly here in the second half. So I think we're going to get there to the over 122.5. I don't know about getting the original total of this game. And Houston and K-State's just dead as far as the total unless this game goes to overtime. But we've got breaking news from the National Football League. And in a modern era, you've got to follow social media and players on social media to get a feel of what's going on. You can't count on the media. You got to count on the players themselves. And I think this is pretty telling right now that Justin Fields has just unfollowed the Chicago Bears on his social media accounts, which leads a lot of people to believe that Justin Fields is aware that he will not be on the Chicago Bears. And, in fact, we've got odds for where he's going to be. Cam Stewart steps up and in. And, Cam, I told you guys last week that they're going to trade Justin Fields, and they will take Caleb Williams. And Justin Fields believes this as well now. There are more and more rumors as far as teams that are interested in Justin Fields. And as expected, there's more than a few. And we don't even really know who's really interested. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of them. And I've been talking about this for years. And, in fact, I brought it up in the damn draft when he came in. I was like, I don't know why you guys just don't draft this kid. He's freaking from your hometown. Your Matt Ryan dude was in his last year. The Falcons could have drafted Justin Fields, had him play behind Matt Ryan for a year, and then had to transition. Now this is their second crack, an opportunity to get him. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think it would be a good move if you were the Atlanta Falcons
I agree, Gabe. I think it'd be a great move. Think about the young players on the team. Bijan Robinson, you got a running game. Drake London, an improving team. I think he's perfect. And on carpet, what is Justin Fields' strength? Running the football. And on that fast surface, man, he's going to be absolutely blazing out there. You know about Chicago, Morency. That grass is long and stuff, and Fields is still outrunning guys there. That's a thick grass. I'd rather play on the carpet in Atlanta. I like where you're going with that. I think it's a perfect fit for the Falcons, and you're right. They should have done something instead of drafted Ritter and trying their luck with Heineke and all these other guys. I think Fields would have been a nice player for them in Atlanta, and I think he's a perfect fit for that football team if he ended up going there. But you're right about Pittsburgh, too, and Pickett. You talked about Coach Tomlin. He's a big fan of Justin Fields.
Well, that's what the reports are, that he likes Fields. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are the favorites right now to land Justin Fields at plus 150. So the question is, what team will Justin Fields be on next year in September? So when the season starts, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the favorites right now. But this is why I love these bets, Cam. Same thing with the draft. They don't know, bro. Like the odds makers have no idea. Right, and they're not worried about it. This is casual stuff that a few people are betting, right? It's not a large market, so they're not worried about getting crushed on this or anything. But they're at the mercy of reports. And like you said, there's all these reports that Mike Tomlin likes Justin Fields, but there's also reports that people are following this, that the Steelers internally are split on the quarterback situation. Don't forget, they just drafted Kenny Pickett. So there's some within there, and I think it's the ownership group, that are thinking, you know what? He's only been in the league 2 years, and he got hurt. Like, do we really know if he sucks? And I think there's others that are like, listen, we know he's not good enough. Does he suck? Maybe not, but he's not good enough to keep up with Joe Burrow. He's not good enough to keep up. Look at the quarterbacks that you have in that. You got Deshaun Watson. You got Joe Burrow. Right, you've got Lamar Jackson, right? You've got big-time quarterbacks there. Is Kenny Pickett really your guy to take you to the next level? But for me, I haven't seen the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam, in my lifetime ever do something like this. This isn't what they do. They don't trade a bunch of picks and all this. Now, the question is, what can you get? Like I said last week, too, like I think it was Kurtz. We'll talk about this with Kurtz again. Well, like they're not getting a first rounder even.
No.
Like there were reports that there was an offer, a second-round pick, the Steelers' second-round pick and fourth-round pick. So if that's what it's going to be, then there'll be more teams that'll be interested, knowing that, hey, we don't really have to give up that much to get this guy. You will have to pay him, though, after. So you're going to have to pay him like a big-time quarterback after the fact. The Pittsburgh Steelers are plus 150. The Chicago Bears are plus 250. I don't think he's going to be on the Bears.
No.
The Atlanta Falcons are plus 350. That's the one that makes the most sense, but they've been resistant to this as well, to pay a quarterback for whatever reason. They didn't go after Lamar Jackson. They took Desmond Ridder. Like, they've never shown a desire for whatever reason since Matt Ryan's been gone to really get a real quarterback there. The New England Patriots, Cam, are plus 600, but the Patriots have the third overall pick in the draft. There's no need for them to go after Justin Fields when they can get Jaden Daniels, right? Or they can get Drake May. They're going to be able to get a big-time quarterback on a rookie deal. So I wouldn't look for the Patriots to pull the trigger. The Broncos are looking for a quarterback, but don't forget, the Broncos traded a lot, and they gave up a lot to get Russell Wilson. They don't have the draft capital. They could pull it off, I guess, but like they're running out of draft picks, this team. Like, and their depth sucks. Their defense sucks. Like, Denver have a lot of problems. So, like, Denver needs the picks. So I could see Denver, like J.J. McCarthy going to Denver with the 12th pick if he's still there. Then you get the Raiders at 12-1. I think that's something to keep your eye on, guys. The Raiders have money, right? The Raiders have $50 million now under the cap. Like, with Garoppolo going to get cut?
Yep.
The Raiders have money. They need a quarterback. The question is, do they think that Justin Fields is the guy to become their franchise quarterback? I don't know. I would probably say no. But they're 12-1. The Commanders are 14-1. I don't see the Commanders doing it because they've got the second pick in the draft. Like, they really are in control of this thing after Caleb Williams And we talk about it, rookie deal. They can get a star quarterback on a rookie deal as opposed to having to pay Justin Fields $45-50 million a year. Same thing with the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are going to lock themselves up to some big deal. Seattle Seahawks are 30-1. They just told Geno Smith he's coming back. They're on the hook. They just paid him an extra $13 million bonus last week. I don't think Justin Fields came to Seattle. Then you get Tampa, Carolina, the Giants, and the Titans. So really, guys, from a betting perspective, I would say the Atlanta Falcons at plus 350. And for the hell of it, let's roll the dice on the Raiders at 12-1. And maybe the Raiders surprise everybody and pull the trigger.
You know what? That's a really good price. And I would have to agree with you. I think who knows what the Raiders are going to do. Gabe, the question I have is in the draft, looking at all these teams, what are the Giants going to do? They're kind of in an interesting position.
They're not going to take a quarterback. I know a lot of mocks have them taking a QB. They're on the hook for Daniel Jones, bro. They just paid Daniel Jones big money.
They owe money.
And they have to pay him this year. So, like, Daniel Jones is back this year. Like, point blank, he's back. They're not just going to eat $57 million or whatever the hell it is. They're not drafting a quarterback, the Giants. I'm not sure that they love him.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, Gabe, BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Could go down one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He is a freak of nature. He is Haley's Comet. He is the unicorn. He is the alien. He is whatever you want to call him. There's been nothing like him. And his play's been fantastic. And it's the reason why Pops looks so damn young now is because of the play of Victor Wembanyama. Fantastic performance by Wemby.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage Late
sort
Night.
Of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
These college basketball games suck so hard. I'd rather talk about NFL football and where players are going to be playing in 2024. Although, listen, this Houston-Iowa State game is pretty competitive. It's good. It's a battle. That's what Houston does. I wonder if Houston have the offense to actually win a national championship. They're turning into one of these teams, man. They're like Gonzaga now. They don't have like the choke. They don't have like the choker loser reputation and vibe around them yet. But to me, they're starting to a little bit. It's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah, I know you're good in the regular season. Are you going to win the national championship ever, right? It's one of those type of deals. Playing in the Big 12 is going to help them, though, I think. Toughen them up, play a tougher schedule, and you see they're a dominant team. Like, I want to buy into this Houston team, that they can win it all. UConn, I think, is a team to beat, but Purdue and Houston are right there. Let's bring in Joe Madden in the house right now. Joe, good to see you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm with you with Houston. I love what we're seeing out of their defense. So I need this game to slow down a little bit because I did take the under. So keeping my fingers crossed in this one.
I can't imagine the frustration of playing them. Like, I know the frustration. Like, when someone's just better than you defensively and they're in your face all the time, like, they really are relentless. Like, they don't let up defensively, man. They're constantly just on you. And then you just start taking bad shots. You see it. Iowa State are doing a pretty good job of trying to fight through it and stuff. Fran Fraschilla keeps saying that you got to pound the paint with Houston. It's the only thing you can do with them because you're not going to beat them on the perimeter. And Fraschilla, like, they just turned it over again. Like, man, they're just relentless on defense. But you get into the NCAA tournament, and one team starts hitting a couple of threes, Cam, and you're one of these teams. It's like Virginia tonight. Like, Virginia scored like 38 points or something. It's like, okay, guys, you stop teams, but like you have these games every 4 or 5 nights where you don't score, and you can't win like that.
You're right. You bring up a good point. Remember, Gabe, Rutgers wasn't even at their best, and they're like up on Houston. The thing is, you can slow teams down, but you're going to run into a team that shoots, and you have to continually win, and we'll see. Their offense needs to be a little bit better. I agree. Their defense is suffocating, but you need to do it all in the NCAA tournament. And with the money, the value that you have on Houston, they can run into a roadblock. I want to buy in, but I just think UConn's a better team. That's my opinion. I got futures on UConn.
They are better.
Yeah,
like if Houston plays UConn, like you'll notice, Joe, when you watch Iowa State here, all right, the kid just took the shot and it went in. But you'll notice they hesitate. Like it'll be open, the three will be open, and they're like, they don't take it right away, and then Houston cover it up. Teams like UConn won't hesitate, right? They won't be as like thrown off by, oh, you guys are playing D, good for you. And so what? We're not going to be thrown off by this. But this game's starting to pick up a little bit right now, 40-32. For Houston, but Houston are damn good. But wild day today in the National Hockey League. I brought up some of the numbers earlier. So the Vancouver Canuck and the Minnesota Wild game, I got to say, I think that was probably the worst loss of the year for the Vancouver Canucks today. Like, I don't know, like what the hell happened? The wheels just fell off, carelessness. You know, you blew a 3-goal lead coming off a loss. They've been so good after losing games, going on another 4 or 5 game win streak after. They lost to Winnipeg, even though they played well. They ran into a hot goalie in Hellebuck. Today, though, was just crazy, but historic game, guys, today. How about this? All these records that were broken. So we had 3. It was the first game to feature 3 players with a hat trick since November the 8th, 1992, when Yari Curry, Luc Robitaille, and Mike Donnelly all scored 3 goals for the Kings in an 11-4 win. Gord Donnelly was my coach.
Oh, wow.
His brother. The Donnelly brothers? Yeah, there's the Donnelly brothers, Joe. They played in the NHL. None of them were stars or stuff, but I think he's one of them. Yeah, Gord Donnelly was my hockey coach for a couple of years. Cool dude. He used to, buy beer for us if we won.
I like
He'd say, listen, he said, if we win the game, guys, I'm going to buy 2 cases of beer and we'll go to my house after and we'll drink safely.
Cool coach.
I was like 15, Cam. Like today, you can't do that. Like
you do that.
Those days, it was like typical. Like, yeah.
Who's there? Cops. You're right.
Yeah, it wasn't like Dairy Queen, Joe. Oh, we'll get pizza after the game. Our guy, he knew how to reach us. He said, guys, I'm like 224 cases. Like, it was like 4 beers each. Like, so,
amazing.
And for us, And he thought, like, he was like, I'd rather you guys, I know what you're going to do anyways after the game. It was one of those things. So I'd rather you just sort of, do it safely, come to my house. And, thing is, for us, though, it was just the start of the night, Cam. It was like, we're going to Coach's house. And then we'd start popping acid. We'd leave after.
The coach basically got you started. Pregame. And
he's like, all right, you're all going home now. We're like, yeah, Coach, we're all going home. Yeah, that's it.
We'd go to the park.
We'd have our eye we'd have our eye on the clock because they'd stop selling beer at 11 o'clock at the store. So we'd be like, all right, Coach, I think it's time to go now. We'd all leave. We got to go to the store, man.
Joe's right. Underage hockey and underage drinking and hockey went hand in hand. I told you, Gabe, we played
but
a tournament.
That's why we're all alcoholics. Let's just be real. It's a culture of alcohol, right? We start early.
I told you, we played a team from Calgary, Joe, and these guys were partying with them. Their coach was like a born-again Christian. He sent them all home without money. He goes, and we won the tournament. They forfeited because we got wasted with them. Our coach is like, excellent. We win.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, so... Yari Curry, Luke Robitaille, Mike Donnelly all scored 3 goals for the Kings in 1992. So there were 3 guys with hat tricks today. And this was also the first game where both teams scored 7+ goals on fewer than 30 shots on goal since 1988. It was just a goal fest. But I brought it up, Joe, today. And it's not just today. The NHL, it's the craziest league for in-game betting with comebacks. Like 2-goal leads, mean nothing in the NHL in today's day and age. They really don't. And you see multiple games today, teams were down and they came back and won. And or they flip-flop, they came back and down, and you can get both teams at crazy plus prices. Yep. And your Calgary Flames have now won, and the Flames have been struggling to get back home. I was like, oh boy, what a train wreck. They're about to lose again to the Jets. They're down 3-1. And they come back and win. And how about this? The Flames have won an NHL best this year, 12 games when trailing by 2 or more goals this year. Think about the odds for that you get paid.
Oh, exactly. You're going to get like plus 240, plus 300 sitting there on the money line for Calgary to come back.
Even more.
They've been phenomenal at doing that. They either get off to really hot starts and then end up failing in that third period and having other teams come back on them, or they do that. They go down in that first period and then find a way back. So I love what we saw out of Calgary tonight. I think it was a bad spot for the Winnipeg Jets too with their schedule tomorrow. So I think they were kind of looking ahead to the divisional matchup on schedule for them tomorrow. But I'm happy Calgary was able to get the win.
To your guys' point, look at the Ducks were down against the Sabres. They end up winning. Stars were down to Boston. They end up winning. Canucks and Wild, that's a comeback. Wild win by 3. Jets and Flames. You said it, Morency. It's like this sport is just a live betting gold mine. It's an absolute gold mine. You take a team that's down. It's crazy. And
I'd say the two, listen, MMA is good as well. You've got to watch it. The thing with MMA, though, you got to really know it, kind of. Like, you've got to understand the judging and stuff. But, like, they get it wrong all the time. Like they really do. Like, it's crazy. Like it's hard for the odds makers. It's hard for the sports books to do live in-game MMA because there's no algorithm for it. It's not a computer. Like NBA, NHL, it's just a computer program. And it's just the number. Like it's not even human. It's just a computer resetting the number all the time. And there's a human sort of watching. But like MMA, you can't do that. Like you have to have a human on it. And a lot of these books, man, they kind of just go by the broadcast of Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan is like extremely biased all the time. Like Rogan gets locked in all the time on one fighter that he likes, that he's buddies with, that goes on his show or something. And like if Rogan was a judge, like I know we have a lot of Rogan fans, whatever. I'm not, God bless him, whatever, man. I'm just saying for his MMA analysis is kind of off. And you can capitalize on this with the odds makers, and same with boxing. Like you watch these fights, it's like, are you guys watching the same fight that we're watching? But the only problem with that is fighting is still kind of like shady, or I'm not going to say corrupt, but you don't really know, right, what these judges are going to do. Like you can kind of think, and you got to know who the judges are, and like. The shadiest guy of them all, actually, is actually from Montreal, Sal D'Amato. Every time there's something weird, like he's always involved. So, like, I'll actually know which fights that he's doing and stuff, and I'll stay away at times. But hockey is the same thing. I would say baseball too. We'll see, right? Baseball, I said, Cam, remember the old days? If you were up 5-0 in a baseball game in like the 90s or 80s, it was like, hey, we're going to win. Like, we're not going to blow the lead. It would be rare to blow the lead. Now, you could be up 3-0 after the first inning and be losing 5-3 after the second. Like,
correct.
Leads don't mean as much, but I don't think it's as accentuated as it is in the NHL. I think the NHL, it's to the point now where when a team is down by 2, you just blindly freaking take them.
Yep.
Oh, I completely agree. Or even take them on that puck line plus the 2.5. There was a couple of games
both. You take the plus 2.5 and a little on top of the money.
You're right. Split up the bet. That's a good way to do it. Agreed.
Because most of the times they flip. Like there's not that many sort of routes. You know what I'm saying? Like the team will battle back, and it's wild. Like, man, today was just crazy, symbolic of that. I like to get the number. Like I said, last year was like 43% of the teams that won were trailing at some point in the game. And it was nearly 30% of the time teams that won a game, they were actually down by 2 goals. I think it was 28% of the time they were down by 2 goals. At those odds, like, man, like there's a lot of money to be made. 46-35 for Houston. They're starting to pull away from Iowa State a little bit. This is Sports Rage.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Could go down one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He is a freak of nature. He is Haley's Comet. He is the unicorn. He is the alien. He is whatever you want to call him. There's been nothing like him. And his play's been fantastic. And it's the reason why Pops looks so damn young now is because of the play of Victor Wembanyama. Fantastic performance by Wemby.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
well, I said these college basketball games are kind of boring earlier. Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate Word, not so boring at the end of the game. It was a 76-72 game. A&M Commerce gets it done on the road at Incarnate Word. After the game, all hell broke loose. And I've been watching this over and over. And it's one of those things, it's moving fast and stuff. So I'm trying to, like, find the funny parts of who got smoked and what happened. But it just exploded, like, at the end. Like, the end of the game, there was, instead of the handshake line, A&M Commerce seemed to start it. Like, A&M Commerce had a problem with something, man. Like, even one of their assistant coaches was, like, going at it. And, like, they were bitching, and they started pushing and shoving, sort of not throwing, but sort of pushing and shoving. And Incarnate Word was like, all right, you guys want to go? We're going to go. And then there's just, like, a mass of bodies flying around. One dude, I'm looking here, is it number 5? One kid on Incarnate Word got, like, smoked in the face twice. And, like, I don't even think he, like, was, like, he didn't even mean to get in on it. He was sort of, like, behind it all, but everyone's arms are so long, someone, like, reached over. Someone, like I said, there was just indiscriminate swinging of the arms by Texas A&M Commerce. Pat Foster is putting this together for us right now, Master Control. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Now I just saw. There's one of the equipment. Yeah, one of the kids just got, like, run over at midcourt. Like I said, it's one of these deals where, like, you need to see it, like, 25 times because there's so much going on. Yeah, look at, so was that number 5? One of the kids on Incarnate Word got punched in the head, and he got punched in the back of the head. He got punched in the face. Then Incarnate Word had enough of it. There's sort of like a melee. They're rolling around on the floor. I think the kids on it, this is hilarious. The kids on Texas A&M Commerce tackled their own coach accidentally. They took down their own coach and then realized, oh, my God, he's with us. All right, here's Buddy on Incarnate Word, number 8. He's going off. He just ran over and freaking flattened. I think he flattened his own guy, too. There's a lot of friendly fire going on this. These dudes are just, like, swinging and running around, like, hitting each other, and they're hitting each other. I swear to God, the kid on A&M Commerce, the two dudes, look at the middle of the floor when they all go down. They tackled each other. That Buddy on Incarnate Word, number 8, really gets pissed after, like, about a minute after all this. He wants more. He's like, I don't know who the hell he's so mad about. Here he is, number 8. Another number 8. He just loses it. Boom. All right, you know what? I'm seeing it now over and over on a loop. Number 8 just ran over one of his assistants that was trying to stop him from trying to, like, do something. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So 76-72, Texas A&M and Incarnate Word.
Yes.
I would suspend them all, Kim. I would suspend them all. I don't mind them doing this, whatever. Get your, you know what I mean? There was frustrations. Okay, fine. But just to let you kids know, you're all suspended for 3 games.
Isn't our
you can't run on the court and just start a brawl like this. Like, no, you're all suspended.
I don't know what's going on. What's the hatred between Commerce and Incarnate Word? Like, is there a rivalry there? Or who knows?
Someone must have said something.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I'd make them all extra Bible study for the kids, man.
Yeah, that's right. Incarnate Word.
Listen, they'll say, you guys, just for the record, you guys, like, that's the punishment. Like, if I was the dean, I'd say you're an embarrassment to our school. And because of this, you have to go see Father Jones for 3 hours a day, every day this week. 15 hours of Bible study. Hope it was worth it.
No practice. It's great. Yes. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Commerce saying it, that's weird, man. I didn't expect that from Incarnate Word. To be the last school you'd think you'd get in a brawl, but hey, things happen.
Here's NCAA buzzer beaters on Twitter. Probably the worst brawl we've seen this year.
Worst brawl we've seen all year. That's great.
Rex Chapman's on it right now. You had the basketball world's Barstool Sports. It's fight night at the Incarnate Word game. Here's full of the wild brawl. The media really hyped this stuff up. Wild stuff. Oh, it was funny, but it's no mall at the brawl. Brawl at the mall. Like, did anyone really like, all right, the white kid on Incarnate Word ate a couple of shots. A couple of people got run over. No one really got lit up or like anything like that. So at least these guys showed more emotion than the NBA All-Stars did last night.
Yeah.
Bringing the passion back. All right, so college basketball right now. It's 46-41 for Houston. The in-game total is 129.5. Remember I told you guys 122 was too light at the half. It's creeping up on the real total right now. Although there's not a lot of fouls, so we're not in the bonus yet. And Texas are starting to pull away a little bit. Texas are up a 9 spot on K-State right now. This game has no hope in hell of going over the number. The in-game total is 113.5. I nearly bet this game, but I didn't. I was going to take Alabama A&M on the money line. They're winning 57-56 right now. And as I was going to do it, I realized, what the hell am I doing betting on an Arkansas Pine Bluff Alabama A&M game? So I didn't pull the trigger on it.
You've done crazier.
Yeah. I was betting on Ugandan basketball the other night. I won.
Ugandan basketball.
Yeah, the Ugandan basketball league. Uganda.
I'll take Kamala.
I tweeted out, I said, I'm the only person in the world that just gave you a Ugandan winner. Minus 12.5. They won KCC. They won by 18.
Wow. With the bet.
Oh, boy.
Big cash.
Kamala.
I'm on a nice little roll with that stuff. I've been hitting a lot of NCAA baseball. Like the baseball season started, NCAA baseball. I'm literally like, I'm 3-0 now. I was going to say 4, but I think it's 3. I'm 3-0. I've only played 3 games, just started. I played 3 bets so far, and I've won every one of them so far with NCAA baseball, but there's no baseball going on tonight. It was great last night, like in the late night hours, man. After the All-Star game, there was NCAA baseball going on. But let's take a look at Tuesday's hockey. We got a full slate of games going on. It was a weird, wild day today in the National Hockey League. We'll see if things tighten up a little bit tomorrow. The Dallas Stars, Joe, were at Boston today. It's a tough spot going back-to-back against these really good teams like that in the Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers. The Rangers are minus 140 favorites. The total is 6.5 in that game. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think you got to jump on the Rangers before that line moves anymore. They were right around the minus 136 earlier in the day, and I think they have it here. I just don't like the Dallas Stars on the second night of a back-to-back. We will see probably Wedgwood in net for them. And Jonathan Quick should be in net for the New York Rangers, and I trust in him. I actually think I have more confidence in him right now. He had a couple of shaky spots during the season, but I think he can get it done. So the New York Rangers, for me, I would expect this one to go under. I'm looking for this to be a tighter game, especially the Dallas Stars. I just don't see them scoring a lot of goals in this one to help push us over that 6.5. So I'd be looking at the under as well.
Yeah, 6.5 feels a little high. Boston and Dallas did get there today. Boston wins 4-3. Cam, what's your thoughts on the Stars and the Rangers?
I like the Rangers as well. Dallas, they had a really tough game with Boston today. They've been playing a lot of hockey. You get the Rangers at a decent price. I think they'll take care of business. But Dallas is a tough out, but they're also an older team, so we get them on the back-to-back. Yeah, bet the Rangers now before that line goes up. I'm with Madden on this one. I think the Rangers get it done.
The Devils are minus 170 favorites, and Washington feels a little bit high to be laying that price, 70 cents. The total 6.5 as well. The Islanders are plus 120 in Pittsburgh. The Penguins are minus 140. The total's 5.5 there. Ottawa Senators in Florida played Tampa tonight, won. Now they get Florida. Florida are minus 245 favorites. Ottawa are plus 200. Total 6.5. The Minnesota Wild, off that wild game today, they're on the road now against the Winnipeg Jets, who are back home. Jets blow the lead today against the Calgary Flames. They're minus 160. The total is 6. Life does not get easier for the Canucks on a 2-game losing streak now. The Canucks are in the Mile High City tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are minus 150 favorites, plus 125. Canucks total 6.5. What do you think of the games tomorrow, Joe? What catches your eye?
Yeah, some great games. What catches my eye is I wish we could bet penalty minutes between the Ottawa Senators and the Florida Panthers, because the last time these teams played, everyone was in that penalty box. There was penalties all over. We got the Tkachuk brothers going at each other. But I think the Florida Panthers are the right side in that one. We got a high price here. I'm willing to take them on the puck line. I think they're able to get it done. I just don't trust Ottawa on the second night of a back-to-back to be able to do it. Looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm going to look at their team total to go over. While I really like what we've seen out of Patrick Waugh getting this defense to tighten up a little bit, we saw what happened with them in that outdoor game versus the Rangers. And I do think the Penguins have the ability with Crosby to come out nice and strong in this game and go over that total of 3.5. And then looking at the Devils, the price is juicy versus the Washington Capitals, but we do have huge road ice advantage for these teams, with the road team winning the last 5. So I think I'll look at them here in regulation, just bring down that price a little bit on that game. And then I think Vancouver and Colorado, that one has to go over the total. I'm not trusting what we're seeing out of Colorado on the goaltending side of things. And Vancouver, like, what the heck happened? We should see them tighten up in this one. They allowed 7 goals in the third period tonight. So that total 6.5 is just way too light in this one. While I do think defense tries to show up, I'm just not believing in it right now, you guys.
I imagine Rick Talk is not in a very good mood on the plane going to Denver tonight after watching that collapse today. What do you like tomorrow, Cam?
I think Vancouver's live, Gabe. I'm going to come back to the Canucks after a game like that. I think Tocchet is the type of guy, and I think they can respond. I think Vancouver's going to bring their A game in Colorado. I wish we got a little bit more. I do like the Devils. I know it's a little bit juicy. I also think Minnesota's in a bad spot tomorrow. Sure, they beat Vancouver today, but the Jets, coming off a loss to Calgary, will be in an ill mood. So I would look at Winnipeg. Don't want to really lay the juice, but I'm going to. And other than that, a couple other games. We like the Rangers we talked about, and there was something else that I was looking at too. I think the Islanders could be live against Pittsburgh. The Penguins have a lot of problems.
The Columbus Blue Jackets are in L.A. The Kings are minus 260 favorites. Total 6.5. We have a lot of high totals tomorrow. Nashville Predators plus 120 in Vegas tomorrow night. Total is 6 there. Vegas are minus 140 in that game. And MLS soccer actually starts on Wednesday. So, things are starting to pick up. We had NASCAR began today. And it's like betting golf, Cam, today, that frustration. I only played 2 guys. I took Blaney and I took Denny Hamlin. And I really did. I came this close. I saw him on the sheet, and there was an odds boost to 20-1, William Byron, I was like, you know what? There's a boost that he could win. And the race was starting, and I was like, nah, just go with the 2 guys you like. And I even crossed my mind. It was one of those things. I looked at it long enough, Joe, where I had that thought. I was like, dude, if he wins now and you didn't take this, you're going to be upset because you've stared at this thing for like the last 2 minutes, and you didn't do it. And then, of course, he wins on a stupid, whatever. There was a crash with 8 laps left, and he wins the race, but that's NASCAR betting. You got to sometimes live with the bets you didn't make.
You're right, Gabe. Like I Zalatoris this week. I'll tell you, in golf, watching golf on Sunday, it's just a lesson in torture. Like, you just sit there and go, "Oh, my guy's going to win." And
that guy. I should have taken
and then I got a little bit on Hideki, but other guys, you can't take everybody. It's life, man. It's nuts.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, Gabe, BC's finest.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win, Fan base won't care if you're quarterbacking the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Could go down one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He is a freak of nature. He is Haley's Comet. He is the unicorn. He is the alien. He is whatever you want to call him. There's been nothing like him. And his play's been fantastic. And it's the reason why Pop looks so damn young now is because of the play of Victor Wembanyama. Fantastic performance by Wemby.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Monday Night Meltdown continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. 53-47 for the Houston Cougars right now. There's 7.5 minutes left in this game. So Iowa State are lingering. Iowa State are a good basketball team, man.
They are.
Like, they don't get the same hype as like other teams because of their geographical location. But if you look at Houston, Cam, how hyped up Houston are. Houston are 22-3 on the season. All right, Iowa State are 20-5. If you look in Big 12 play, Iowa State are 9-3, Houston are 9-3. Yep. Like, there's not that much of a difference. Like, Iowa State are right there. One thing with Iowa State, they're obviously just so, like, road-home dichotomy, but they're battling here. They started off slow, give them credit. They're going to be a tough out in the NCAA tournament. And, in fact, Iowa State just hit a 3 right now to cut the lead to 5 with 6.5 minutes left. I've got the Houston Cougars to win this game with Texas in the moneyline parlay with Charleston. But my concern is the over of this game. I want to get the over home here. What's my number? I've got 132. Oh, boy. We're at
right
105 with 6.5 minutes left right now. The Iowa State Cyclones are in the bonus right now. They're going to be shooting free throws for the rest of the game. They've only committed 2 fouls, though, so that's frustrating. Houston are not going to the line. Iowa State will be going to the line the rest of the night. The new in-game total right now is 131.5. If you guys remember when we started the show, it was halftime. It was 122.5, and I said it was too light. That they were going to go over. They would get over 122.5. They're up to 131 right now as far as the in-game is concerned. I think we can maybe get here. We'll see. I've been kind of, I'm not going to say cold, but I haven't had the greatest luck over the last, 24 hours and stuff. But when you bet as much as I do, it sort of comes in waves, right? And I can sort of feel it. It's like, oh, yeah, all right, here we go. Here's the beginning of a little bit of a it's going to be a bad little run for the next couple of days. I sort of felt it Saturday night, Cam, at the hockey game. Like, I sort of, after the game, I was like, man, I was confident about the West winning. That was a big loss, and I've been fighting, trying to get it back since.